TLS's go for main engine start.
We have a go for main engine start. And we have main engine start. 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff of Discovery.
On August 28, 2009, the Space Shuttle Discovery began an important scientific mission that would take place on the International Space Station, 250 miles from the surface of the planet. It was a 14-day voyage orbiting Earth. Today, there is no doubt that each of the Space Shuttle missions was transcendent for humanity, but this was especially true for me and for the story I want to tell today. My name is Jose Hernandez Moreno, and I have been a proud member of LULAC Council 2060 in Stockton since finishing my graduate studies in 1986. I was the flight engineer of that Discovery mission and the first human to tweet in Spanish from space. I'm not going to talk to you about space exploration or about my professional history at NASA. I am just remembering this moment because that mission was the fulfillment of my childhood dream, which was none other than being an astronaut when I grow up.
I can't tell what it is, but it's a beauty.
You see, I was born in 1962 in Stockton, California, in a family of Mexican migrant farm workers where we all worked in the fields. To achieve my dream of flying to the stars, I had to pick a lot of fruit and vegetables. Without a doubt, it took a lot of effort, but I assure you that I would not have been able to get that high without help. I am talking here about the League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC. It is about the 90 years of LULAC that I want to talk to you because, although it is not my history, it is a true personal story for me. LULAC was founded in the interwar period, a time that is known as the crazy years, or the beautiful era for its optimism, the excesses and the impulse to the arts, music, and the regained vigor of industrial life and society. But it was a time that was far from beautiful for those who were not regarded as whites. American society was segregated. Then being a Latino, or as they said then, Mexican, made us second-class citizens. Many were descendants from the 77,000 Mexicans who gained American citizenship after the Mexican War that culminated in the annexation of a third of Mexican territory. They were always viewed with suspicion, and their children were not allowed to learn English or vote. It was then that on February 17, 1929, some professionals and businessmen living in Corpus Christi, Texas, decided to join the efforts of several groups that functioned separately and created LULAC, the League. Today, LULAC is not only the oldest Latino activist organization with 132,000 volunteer members, it is also the largest civil rights organization in the United States. Cindy, the first woman in charge of the day-to-day of the organization, has dedicated herself to public service.
One of the untold stories for us is that across the 90 years, we've always harnessed potential. The potential of our members, making sure that even from the very forming of this organization in 1929, when 3 different councils came together, it was ordinary people doing ordinary things who really had a vision for what our community could be doing in the future. And it was at a time when simply coming together could be considered conspiracy, and they could be hanged and they could be lynched and even killed without ever being a sense of justice for their lives.
LULAC successfully fought to eliminate segregation. It started with barbershops and beauty salons, hotels, public pools, bathrooms, and drinking fountains. But the opportunity for LULAC to show its full potential for the first time would come soon after, in its first fight for equality and access to education. The opportunity came to LULAC in 1944 at the hands of a girl, as lawyer Domingo Garcia, president of the organization, remembers.
We've had several great battles and victories that LULAC has had over the years. One of the most important ones was the Mendez versus Westminster in 1948.
What was going on in Westminster was not right. We would all be in the same bus, the other turn, and they would drop us off in front of the white school, this beautiful manicured lawn school with palm trees and a wonderful playground right there in the front with swings. And then we had to walk to the Mexican school. The school books were all handed down, so they'd be torn, and we were being taught how to be good maids. We were being taught how to clean, how to sew, how to quilt. We weren't being taught academics. As a 9-year-old girl, all I was thinking is, when we went to court, that they were fighting for me to go to this beautiful school, never realizing exactly what they were fighting for.
LULAC not only directly supported the families, but also mobilized society, organized a boycott in the county, and pushed the case to the highest level. The Mendez versus Westminster lawsuit ended with 100 years of segregation in California's public schools and became a key precedent in the civil rights struggle for the entire country.
And in that case, we won, and it ended segregated schools across America for Mexican Americans. And 3 years later, in Topeka versus the State Board of Education, it ended school segregation for African Americans. But it was LULAC who led the way.
The post-World War II period also represented a change in the organization of La Liga. Many Latino veterans returned to the country with the experience of organizing and self-sacrifice of the war. Many Latinos made real demonstrations of heroism while fighting alongside their white comrades. Returning to the country and finding that they were discriminated against and that they could not receive some of the advantage given to the white veterans was an affront. Since then, activism in the streets and in the courts in LULAC has always been combined with direct action, finding solutions to problems of the Latino community.
So I'm glad to be here today.
That push won for LULAC the respect of national leaders.
Another, key moment in our history is something called the Little School of the 400, which was created by a LULAC member paired with a professor to create a completely different model of teaching our Mexican children in Texas 400 English words.
A teacher in a little school for Mexican children who got to know the 400-word program up close was called Lyndon Johnson.
My students were poor, and they knew, even in their youth, the pain of prejudice. They never seemed to know why people disliked them, but they knew it was so, because I saw it in their eyes. I never thought that I might have the chance to help the sons and daughters of those students and to help people like them all over this country. But now I do have that chance. And I'll let you in on a secret I mean to you.
Deeply moved by his own experience, when Johnson assumed the presidency, he copied the educational model initiated in Texas and spread it throughout the country, giving rise to Head Start, the early education program.
And now millions of children throughout the United States are benefiting by having pre-K and kindergarten classes and Head Start, which they never had before. I think the scholarship programs that LULAC has done, I can tell you case after case where, the governor of Nevada, Governor Sandoval said, Domingo, LULAC gave me my first scholarship, and now he's the governor of Nevada. And we hear those stories over and over again. So that opportunity of education and to be able to get a college degree and to achieve the American dream is where LULAC has really left its mark. And today, LULAC across the country gives out thousands and millions of dollars of scholarships, making the American dream a reality for countless students.
As I explained earlier, this story is extremely personal for me since I was a beneficiary of LULAC scholarships and will always be grateful because it was a key element that allowed me to pay for tuition, graduate as an engineer, and ultimately go into space, thus allowing me to become the person who I am today. Part of the mission is that people like us are represented in all the institutions of this country.
LULAC has always been there on the front lines when they tried to purge 98,000 voters from the rolls. LULAC versus Texas, we won, and those 98,000 voters stayed on the rolls. In Kansas City, when they tried to put the polling places so that people couldn't vote in Dodge City, we were able to win that lawsuit, and now we have 3 polling places. And those stories happen over and over again.
At 90, the league has helped millions to fulfill their dreams, but it is still not in a position to retire because it has not yet fulfilled its own dream of becoming unnecessary. Its timeless message is valid today, and it is as urgent as almost a century ago, as well as its old motto, all for one for all.